about the man accused of trying to blow up a plane heading to Metro Detroit last Christmas, but there are untold stories now just coming to light about other suspicious incidents on that day. It was supposed to be another peaceful Christmas holiday, but it was disrupted with that bomb attempt and the struggle to subdue the suspect.
It turns out there were two other chaotic flights that very same day, both over Detroit.
Action News reporter Michael Rosenfield has the story.
There were two other travelers on two other flights over Detroit last Christmas Day, and they also put passengers and crew in jeopardy. And one of the incidents happened on the very same route, Amsterdam to Detroit, that the underwear bomber was flying. Christmas Day 2009, Umar Farouk Abdul Muttalib tries to detonate a bomb on board a Delta flight over Metro Detroit. The events of that incident have been widely reported, and now the Nigerian national is behind bars awaiting trial. What hasn't been known, two other incidents the very same day, both also taking place over Detroit.
But another incident also on board a flight from Amsterdam to Detroit this afternoon. Another passenger was arrested on that flight as well.
Back on Christmas Day, Channel 7 was the only station to report about one of those incidents, and details on both are now revealed, and these documents just obtained by Action News. And unbelievably, one of them happened on the very same Delta route, Amsterdam to Detroit.
He was stood up, he was belligerent, he was yelling, swearing, he would put hats on, he was screaming about Afghanistan. He was fighting with the wonderful stewards that we had. There were 5 men, big men, and 3 women. I said to my husband I was so thankful that there were 3 or 5 men on the flight.
This woman, Marilyn Engel of West Bloomfield, isn't talking about underwear bomber Umar Farouk Abdul Muttalib on Flight 253, but another passenger on board Delta Flight 249, also Amsterdam to Detroit, Christmas Day last year. Our initial report had the blogosphere buzzing about a possible conspiracy.
And I hear him screaming, you know, things about what about us in Afghanistan. He had this whole thing with Afghanistan.
He destroyed a seat.
Punching on the seats, threw food everywhere.
According to these passengers and this police report, passenger Arnoldus Moll was being unruly and yelling profanities and had to be subdued to a seat with flex cuffs. A flight attendant says while the restraints were being attached, the 50-year-old citizen of the Netherlands headbutted him and kissed him on the cheek. The flight attendant's thumb and shoulder were injured. And that's not the only thing that happened that same day over Detroit. We've also learned about a third incident according to these police reports. Virgin America Flight 25, New York to San Francisco. The flight diverted to Detroit because of another unruly passenger. Safi Fung was arrested with $15,000 in cash after becoming disruptive in seat 1C, yelling at a flight attendant because his meal contained meat. According to these documents, the flight crew tried to explain that was all the food they had, but Fung continued to be irate, yelling, quote, "Why the expletive are you hassling me?" Then extending his forefinger out and with his thumb up in the shape of a gun, placing it to the flight attendant's temple and simulating shooting him in the head. When the plane diverted to Detroit, investigators who boarded the plane said the captain was, quote, visibly shaken and took the threat very serious. Fung told investigators the flight attendant did not, quote, give an expletive. Police smelled alcohol on his breath and said Fung's eyes were bloodshot. He was placed under arrest for interfering with a flight crew. His blood alcohol content would be tested at more than twice the legal limit. Investigators would find out he had checked no luggage and found $15,000 in small bills in his carry-on. The Drug Enforcement Administration confiscated the money. Fung told customs officials he was born in Trinidad and was not a U.S. citizen. Fung was eventually released once he sobered up, saying, quote, "I'll get you expletive. You stole my money. And then you'll get yours, devils." Fung left the police station and was last seen walking to the McDonald's on Middlebelt. According to the Drug Enforcement Administration, Safi Fung is fighting the government trying to get his money back, though it's unclear what happened with the charge of interfering with a flight crew. As for Arnoldus Moll, the passenger from the Netherlands, customs officials tell me nobody pressed any charges. but he was still sent back to Amsterdam on the next flight out for giving conflicting stories on whom he was visiting here in the U.S. Authorities say there is no evidence that these two incidents were connected or have any link to the underwear bomber. It all appears to have been a coincidence, keeping investigators very busy at Metro Airport Christmas Day last year. I'm Michael Rosenfield, Channel 7 Action News.